Hello, we'll continue today with the arm. So another week of polygon pushing for your model. We will start with the arm. If you remember, we left the cylinder back here and we're going to use it this week to make the arms. And probably the hand, because the hand, if you look at it, it kind of looks like two cylinders. It has a cylinder facing forward and a cylinder coming down from the wrist. And the arm is kind of a compound shape. The shoulder is a cylinder from the side view, but from the front view it's kind of flat on this side. And then it ends on a cylinder here on the wrist. So we're going to address that shape first. Let's duplicate this so we can keep one copy extra here. We'll move it over. Remember, using the plane you can move in two directions. We're going to rotate it and kind of scale it down here from the center scale. Kind of position it where we think it should go. You know, this is kind of hard to do on the perspective view. So it's a lot easier to do it on the orthographic view. So you can, you know, kind of see if you hit F on top of your window. You can see where you're placing things, and you can see them on multiple angles of view here. So about right there, and I should probably turn on the shortcuts here so you can see what I'm clicking. Okay, let's see if it's working. Yeah, it is working, so you can see what I'm clicking down here. Alright, so we placed the cylinder here on the shoulder. This might take a little bit longer. That's fine. Or you might not have the cylinder. You might have deleted it or done something with it. Not a problem. Just create a new one. I'll just move it here to the side. And remember, we want it to be eight-sided on the axis. So we'll say 8. And just to make our life simple, we want no triangles on the cap. So that's all you need to do. And then there's your cylinder. But I already have one back here. I just duplicated it. I hit Control D, you know, and got a new copy. Or, yeah, that's. I think I have an extra copy. Yeah, I have an extra copy there, so I'm just gonna delete it, so I don't have extra stuff. So now that I have kind of placed it where I think it should go, you know, I also matched the angle on the front view. If you look at the front view, the torso has this angle on the side of the wall here. So I'm just matching the same angle here for the cylinder. I'm going to flatten it a bit with the scale tool. So I'm going to hit R to get the scale tool. You can get it from here on the side. And I'm just going to flatten it this way. Maybe move it over. Maybe a little bit more. Just kind of like a coin almost. We'll say right there. We'll leave it right there. It's probably good. Now, the cylinder for the wrist is basically the same. Hang on, I'm not sure if I'm talking too loud here. And okay, there we go. Just turning down the microphone volume a little bit. So the cylinder for the wrist is kind of the same thing. So I'm going to, since this shape is so close to it, I'm just gonna duplicate this shape. So I'm gonna hit Control D again, and you know, just rotate this shape over. So I'm gonna hit E, rotate it like this down, and a little bit like this. That's kind of what the wrist looks like. Maybe it needs to be scaled a bit. Scale down. So I'm scaling with the middle of the scale tool, so it scales in all directions. And I'm going to position that on the wrist here. Maybe rotate it a bit. You just take your time to do it. If it takes a little bit longer, that's completely fine. You know, or if you're already done, that's great. Okay, so just gonna try to match the front and side. Remember, this is a drawing, might not match exactly. That is fine. We just going to approximate the closest we can get it. I'll say that's good right there. So I'm just gonna move it back. So there we go. So oh, I accidentally did not duplicate my shoulder and I moved the shoulder. So I'm gonna have to move it again. So I'm gonna duplicate again. Okay, and then let me just fix this really quick. I'm just gonna put it here where it goes. I don't know. I thought I duplicated it. I guess I didn't. Okay, so now this over here, and this is why it's so important that your images are the same size on the front and side view. So when you do reference for yourself, just make sure you do that. So now I have kind of like the two basic shapes, the cylinder here, the cylinder there. Now we just need to join them. So there is this tool called bridge that will let you join two objects. But before we get to that point, I need to extrude these faces down, so they kind of come down here, and this face is up. So I'm going to bridge them together. But to bridge them together, I need to make sure the same number of sides are on the things that I'm going to bridge. So if I'm going to bridge, let's say I'm going to delete this face. If I count the edges here, and I could count them like by going 1, 2, 3, you know, I know it has 8 sides. But if you've forgotten how many edges you have on the object, you can just double click. That will select a loop. And then if you look on your modeling toolkit, you will see here it's telling you how many edges you have selected. It's telling me I have 8 edges. So to bridge two objects, I have to have the same number of edges on both. Or if I'm bridging this hole to a hole in here, I have to have the same number of edges on both objects. So I need to make a hole here with 8 sides also. So I'm going to, I should probably delete, let's see, these 3 faces down here, and that'll probably give me 8 sides. So I'm going to delete that face and count the edges. So I'm going to select edge mode, double click on the edge loop, and that's going to tell me I have 8 edges selected. So that's what I want. So now we're good to go. I know how many edges I need to extrude. So I want to kind of extrude this down so it's the upper part of the arm, and extrude this up so it's the forearm. So let's do that. Let's look at the side view here, and we're going to hit extrude. Oh, and my arm here is not quite matching. I guess I deleted the wrong faces. So I'm going to just rotate it instead of trying to fix it. I'm going to hit E to rotate it. And now this circle on the outside of the rotate tool rotates the object on the direction you're looking at it. So if I'm looking at it in this angle, this outside circle will rotate it on that angle. Whoops. And I don't have the object selected, I have the edges. So if I rotate it from the outside circle, see, it's rotating on the angle I'm looking at it. So that might be helpful in here. I want to rotate it on the angle I'm looking at it. So I'm going to grab the outside circle and kind of rotate it like this. So when I extrude the faces here that I deleted, those faces are going to go this way. Okay, so let me just select those edges again and extrude the edges. And I don't want to move with the extrude tool because again, it's the same thing when you're extruding a circle. You know, it tries to preserve the shape of the circle. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to move with just a regular move. So the regular move will let me move just those faces straight down instead of you know, keeping the circle or scaling with the circle. So I'm moving down here kind of to match the elbow, or a little bit before the elbow here. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of My picture on the background is kind of bright, but you know, I'm just getting this part here together. So that's the upper arm. If I check it on the front view, I'm kind of not following the angle, so I gotta move it out a bit. Yeah, so that's good. So I'm matching this angle on the inside. You know, the same angle the cylinder had. And you see it doesn't have the same thickness. I'm going to fix that in a second here. The first thing I'm matching is this line here on the inside of the arm. So you might want to flatten this. So just like we did with the foot here when we extruded out of the leg. I can extrude or flatten this. If you see, there is when I try to extrude, Maya doesn't quite know which way to I'm sorry, not extrude. Look, when I try to scale, Maya doesn't know which way to scale it. It doesn't know to which line to line it up to. You can change the pivot point of a selection, and we're going to use this tool quite a bit later. But if you hit D on your keyboard, D as in dog, you can see it down here. This is the pivot point of your selection, whatever you have selected. In this case, I have selected these edges. So I can see it's not lined up to really anything. So I can rotate the pivot point. And maybe it will be better to look at it on the side view. Yeah, so I can line it up to, I want the lines to be flat, like this line is over here. So if I hit D again, you can see it down here, I'm out of pivot point edit mode. Now my pivot points line up to those edges. So if I scale, you know, I can flatten those edges like that. So you can edit a pivot point of an object by just hitting D. Okay, so I have, that's kind of working. So we're going to match the outside of the arm now, which is kind of flat. So I'm going to grab this face over here, this one, and just pull it out. So I'm going to grab it and pull it out, and I'm gonna keep an eye here on the front picture, and I'm going to match the top here of the face, so it kind of matches this part of the arm. And then I can grab the bottom part of the, I guess the edge down here, this edge, and I'm going to pull it out to match the second part of the arm here. So now the thickness of the arm right here on this face is kind of the same, but the picture here is not following kind of the curvature of the arm. It's kind of doing some weird things here. And this is when n-gons cause problems, right? So we talked about keeping things in 4-sided polygons so it divides evenly. So Maya sees this face and doesn't know how to divide it. It doesn't know if to divide it here or here, you know, to create a smooth transition. That's why it looks so strange in here. Or when you hit 3, it looks strange. So we're going to tell it which way to go. So we can, with the knife, you know, cut it by hand. So I'm going to click from this vertex here and down to this vertex. Right click to complete. From this vertex here to this vertex there, right click to complete. So there's the shoulder. If I look at it, it's looking a lot closer. And if I hit 3, it looks a little smoother, right? Kind of closer to what I want. I know it's not perfect yet, but we'll get back to it in a second here. So let's worry about connecting it to the bottom part of the arm now. So I'm going to select the bottom part of the arm, or the forearm, and I'm going to extrude this edge up, or we could just move it up. I guess we don't need to extrude it. Yeah, let's just move it up. So we're going to hit W. We're going to move it up right here. So I'm matching the side view. Let's look at our front view. Make sure we're going on the right direction here. So we'll say that's close enough. Okay, so I have bottom and top part of the arm ready. I just need to bridge them together. So how do you bridge? The bridge tool is up here. On the side here, you'll see it also, bridge tool. Or you can go edit mesh. Bridge, where's bridge? Up here. You see the same symbol there. So you have only two conditions to bridge a tool. Two objects together. Is you have to have the objects combine or act as one. So right now, if I select this object is not selected. I could shift select them both, but they are still considered two separate objects. If you look on the outliner, there's two separate objects. So we need to make them be one. So to combine them, there's a shortcut here, combine. You'll see it up here too, combine. And under mesh, you will see combine. So that will make them act as a single object. So now that I have combined them, I select one, the other one's also selected, and if I hit 1 to see the hard edge version of it, both of them are in hard edge. So that's what we want. They have to be combined. The second thing is what I already mentioned. You need the same number of edges on both objects to bridge. So if I go in here and select these edges, I know I have 8 edges, and on the hole up here, if I double click, it says I also have 8 edges. So that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to double click on this one edge on the hole here on the top arm, and hold shift and double click on the bottom edge here that I want to merge or bridge. And now I can hit bridge, and you will see bridge here. And sometimes this will happen and look like it's twisted, like your bridge is a little twisted, and it looks okay on the back. And the front, I'm not quite happy with how it looks. So you can twist it here with this on the options window that showed up or popped up. We can twist it here and see if this looks any better. I think I kind of like this better. Yeah, that's better. You can play with it with the twist. You can also taper your bridge, but I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna hit 0. I just want it to stay the same. You can also add divisions to it. So right now it's just made one face from one object to the other. Let's add a division here so I can shape an elbow. Oh, and that kind of messed up things. So let's just take it off. I can always add it with the knife afterwards. So we're going to call that good. I'm going to hit Q to get rid of the bridge tool. And I could come by hand and add, the division here I need with the knife. Just hit Q. I'm sorry, Control Shift X. Just hit Control Shift X and you'll get the knife. Oh, I just dropped it. Just hit Control Shift X. You will get the knife, and you can add your own division here by hand. Now we have some points here that we can use as the elbow. So I'm going to select them here, hit 4 to see if I'm selecting the back, and I am. So I'm going to look at the elbow here on the side view, and I'm going to move these points over to make the elbow. Something like this. My arm's a little smaller than the reference. I guess I could scale the whole thing up a little bit. So that's just because I'm being picky. I mean, if it's close enough, you don't need to scale too much. Now I'm going to look at it from the front view here and hit 5 so I can see edge, the shaded version. It looks pretty bad actually like this, but we have to remember this is going to smooth out when you subdivide it or when you hit smooth on your keyboard. So when you hit 3, this is kind of what we have. It looks closer to our finished version. It just needs a few holding edges. So if we look at the picture on the back, this the wrist is kind of a sharp edge, and mine is kind of soft, so it looks different. So I'm going to add a holding edge here. and hit 3, and that already looks tons better. Now the shoulder is also kind of soft, and it is a rounded shape here, but it's not this soft, so I need to adjust that. So I need to put a holding edge on the inside of the arm, kind of where the knob connects the arm to the torso. But I can't see what I'm doing because the torso is on my way. So I'm going to hide the torso temporarily. I'm going to select it, and if you go to display, you can hide whatever you have selected. You can see here the shortcut is Control H. And then when you want to see it again, you can go show your last hidden, or show all if you've hidden a bunch of things. So I'm just going to use the shortcut here. I'm going to say Control H to hide it. Now I can see the inside of the arm, and I have this shape that is kind of getting lost here. So if I hit face mode here and select that face and then extrude it in, or extrude, I can actually, I'm going to inset it a bit, and that's acting like a holding edge right there. If I hit 3, you see, oh, now the circle is preserved better. It's just a holding edge, it's just on the other side of the arm. And since I have that face selected here, I guess I could extrude it again. Control E, scale in, Control E, and then make the knob for the arm, because I know it's there. I mean, I can't see it, but I know the toy has it. So I'm just gonna put a couple holding edges here so those shapes stay hard on the corners here and not soft. So there it is. That looks like a pretty good arm here. Now this part doesn't look quite perfect. You can fix it. You will have to do this by hand. You'll have to use your artistic eye here. So this is kind of a organic shape, so you will have to move points around here to make it look good. So you'll have to look at it from different angles and see what looks good. I'm just trying to look at the picture here. I think don't worry if it's perfect. It's an organic shape, like I mentioned, so it might not be perfect. As long as it's close when you smooth it, when you hit 3 on your keyboard, that is fine. So if I hit 3, that looks a little bit better. There's still kind of a little bump here. That is because this edge is kind of close to the other one, and it is actually sticking out. So I'm gonna move it back. Remember, when two edges are together or close together, it's the same effect than this. It's a holding edge, so it'll make kind of a sharp corner here. So you can smooth it out by separating it a bit. So I'll say this is good. Now I have this space here. I could, do the same thing, and I'm gonna go a little quicker here because you know what I'm doing already. On extrude in, Control E, extrude in again. So there's the space for the hand, and I can just put a couple holding edges here. Make sure that looks good. Yeah, that's good. Oh, it needs one inside also. So come on, there. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I have one arm here ready to go. Now we're going to do the hand. We can bring the cylinder here and try to match it to the size and shape of this, but there's an easier way actually. I have this face inside the arm. That's exactly the size I needed for that cylinder that's coming out of here, that's acting as the wrist. And why not use that face as a base for our new cylinder? So we can. So what we're going to do is duplicate this one face. We don't have to get it out of here or copy and paste. We don't want to do copy and paste. we want to duplicate this face right here. So there is an option to duplicate only faces and not the whole object. With the faces you want duplicated selected, you can go to Edit Mesh, and you will see at the very bottom here there's a duplicate, and this is only faces. This will only duplicate faces. So if I click on it, you will see this this tool show up, and you can increase the offset here with the blue. Now there are two objects actually. Oh, and I think I had something else selected. Yes, I did have something else selected. That's why you want to hit 4 when you select things, so you can see if you have something else selected by mistake. But anyway, I have this face here. I'm just going to delete this one. So I'm going to hit Q to get out of the tool, go into object mode. You'll see you have 2 objects now, or 3 because I had something else selected here. So let me just delete this one. You have 2 objects now. The arm, the face that we started with, still there, still back inside. And I have a new face that I duplicated, which is a new object actually. And when you hit move, you know, you see the pivot point is all the way out here. Why is it not here? Because we duplicated that face from this object, and the pivot point of this object is on the center here. So we're going to fix that. We're going to select this object and move the pivot point to the center of the object. So if you look in here on the top, there's a center pivot point, and that will look at the shape of your object and say, oh, that shape is way out here. I'm gonna move this pivot point to the center of that shape. So if you click on that button, you'll see the pivot point moves down to where your object is. On our arm, you see the pivot point is also off to the side. But I think we might want to leave it there because we're going to mirror this arm. So we're going to leave it there for now. But now that we have this, you guess what we can do now. We can just extrude this face. So I'm going to hit Control E, extrude the cylinder here, and now we have the wrist sticking out. I don't know if I'm going down too far, so I'm going to check on my front view and side view. That's fairly close, I'd say. So we're going to leave it right there. It looks like it's flat on the side and on the front view. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get out of extrude by hitting Q, and I'm going to hit R here to kind of flatten the front of the face and move it up to where it's supposed to be. And when I scale it, it kind of scaled down a bit, so I'm gonna scale it bigger again. So there it is. Now I could